All right, Alan. So today we've got our on-course lesson. We're here at number 7 here at our home course, Elizabethtown Country Club. This is what a lot of the members would consider a challenging hole. I know you're a little different, a little more experienced, we'll say, than all of our members. But I imagine sometimes you still find yourself in a tricky spot on this hole sometimes.
Right.
So the thing I really want to work on today with our on-course lesson is I want to get us in some tricky spots, kind of learn how to do that. But first, I want to talk about mental practice and how it affects us and what parts there are to it and how it can make us better. So the first thing is mental practice is exactly how it sounds. It's just practicing inside our head. It's thinking, after a round, maybe, what I did wrong on one shot, or what was the one thing, why was I slicing my driver all day, kind of stuff like that. I know you have a little bit of experience with that.
Yeah.
But it's just asking ourselves questions, wondering, and kind of thinking about what's going through our swing, and then you get to the point where you're like, well, maybe if I did this instead of this, it would, improve my swing and improve my consistency. And so that's what mental practice is. There's two parts to it. There's controllability and vividness. First, I said those in the wrong order, but vividness comes first. That's basically how well in our head can we recreate the situation. Like, can you literally just imagine the hole, or can you imagine, what the wind is doing? What direction is the sun coming from? Is it in the morning when it's all dewy and the ball's maybe not going to roll out too much, or is it in the afternoon when the course is dried out a little bit from the morning? It's stuff like that. The factors just we create in our head. Controllability is how well you can control those factors and how well you can you imagine differently if it's 5-mile-an-hour winds or 15-mile-an-hour winds. It's stuff like that.
Right.
And mental practice is just really important to our game. It's really important. Everyone does it without thinking about it. But mental practice is just something that's a huge part of our game and how we think about our golf swing. So what are some examples of how maybe you've used mental practice, to prepare for tournaments or to even just go out and play a course that you've never seen before? So how are some ways that you mentally practice?
So I like to look at GPS, like Google Earth or service.
Or like Blue Golf or something.
Blue Golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it gives yardages. I like to look at, carry numbers off the tee.
Gotcha.
If there's fairway bunkers, like the width of the fairway, just to get a generalization of how wide and what the miss is, possibly. Yeah. Like, I'll think of one. Like, I have my U.S. Open local qualifier in Minnesota. I was just looking earlier at, like, what I think I'll be hitting off tee shots, so I can kind of prepare for that. To have a dispersion of what dispersions I'm able to work with different tee clubs.
Yeah.
And elevation changes.
No, I got you. Yeah, that's a great way to mentally practice, and that's like mentally practicing and preparing yourself, kind of thinking ahead. And of course, you don't know, maybe you're planning to hit a 2-iron off a tee one day, but then all of a sudden the wind is 2 miles an hour or 10 miles an hour into you, and so that maybe changes what you're going to hit a little bit or how you're going to play the hole.
Yeah.
But it's always good to go ahead and get a look-see at what we're going to see. So that's just how our mental practice affects our game and how it can help us, and how not doing it can kind of hurt us. But let's go ahead and see you try to rip this drive down the middle, and we'll see where we end up.